We are on a commuter train heading toward Chicago. A woman named Christina is sitting next to a man and talking to him like they have known each other for a long time. But the man has absolutely no idea who she is or how he ended up on this train. Christina steps in to help him find his ticket, and that is when the man catches a glimpse of his reflection in the window. He stands up and starts going through his pockets and his bag, trying to figure out what is going on because nothing about this situation feels familiar to him. He looks around at the other passengers, steps briefly off the train, and watches some people outside on the platform, trying to get his bearings and understand where he is. The train starts moving, so he gets back to his seat and says a few words to Christina. Then he looks at the window again, and this time he gets a proper look at his reflection, and the face staring back at him is not his own. He immediately gets up and goes to the restroom to check the mirror. He also pulls out a wallet from his jacket, and the ID card inside has a photo of a complete stranger. He goes back to his seat and tries to tell Christina that he is actually a soldier and that something is very wrong. But before he can make any sense of the situation, the entire train explodes. He wakes up inside a cold metal pod, strapped in and completely alone. He has no idea where this place is or how he got here. A woman named Goodwin, in military uniform, appears on a screen in front of him. She is calm and professional, and she refers to the operation as Beleaguered Castle. She checks his condition and asks him about the explosion. Another person, Dr. Rutledge, briefly appears on the screen, and Coulter is immediately sent back on the train, and everything is exactly the same as before. Someone nearby opens a can, and coffee spills on his shoe just like before. He is living through the same 8 minutes all over again, from the very beginning. This time he decides to pay close attention and treat it like a mission, so he starts observing the people around him carefully. He walks through the train, watching everyone, picks up a wallet that does not belong to him, and steps off the train again, trying to figure things out. But the train moves and the loop ends the same way it did before. In this next loop he is more focused, and he remembers that the explosion came from the rear of the train. He goes back there and checks the restroom, where he actually finds a hidden bomb. He tries to figure out how to disarm it, but he does not know enough to do it safely. So he goes back to the passenger car and tries to warn everyone. Nobody takes him seriously, and the train explodes again. He is back in the pod, and the military team is talking amongst themselves, clearly under pressure because they are not making progress. The team is looking at data on their screens and monitoring how he is doing. He looks at Goodwin and asks her directly what is happening to him and where exactly he is. She brings in Rutledge, and Coulter pushes hard for answers, but she cannot explain everything to him yet, because there are limits to what she is allowed to tell him at this stage. He keeps asking, and she keeps redirecting him until he is sent back into the train before the conversation can go any further. He is back on the train again with Christina right beside him, and the ticket checker coming down the aisle. This time Coulter is paying very close attention to everything happening around him. He looks around at all the passengers, who all seem completely ordinary and going about their own business. Then he notices one man who seems out of place somehow. He follows him and checks his bag, where he finds a phone and a diary. He follows this man off the train and into a restroom. The man is inside, washing his face, nervous and in a hurry to leave. He goes back after the suspicious man, grabs him and pulls him to the floor, and they get into a serious fight. During the struggle, Coulter gets shoved backward onto the train tracks, and an oncoming train hits him. The loop ends. Back in the pod, the military team is clearly stressed because the mission is not working, and they are no closer to identifying the bomber. Coulter starts pushing against the walls of the pod, trying to force his way out, but he cannot get out no matter what he tries. The whole team is watching him on their screens as he struggles to free himself. But nobody is doing anything to help him. He is completely locked in. Dr. Rutledge finally comes in and tells him the truth. He holds up an ID card that belongs to Christina and explains that every single person on that train has already been dead since this morning. The explosion already happened in the world. Coulter is not going back in time at all. What he is actually doing is being placed inside the final 8 minutes of the memory of a man named Sean Fentress. He goes back in and moves through the train looking for the bomber. A security guard sees him acting suspiciously, grabs him, and forces him down before he can find anything useful. The train explodes again, and he is back in the pod. He wakes up confused and struggling to remember the details of what just happened. Goodwin talks to him and tries to help him piece together what he saw during the last run. He goes back in and tries harder this time, talking to different passengers and asking questions. He borrows a phone from a woman on the train and tries calling the number he has for Rutledge, but the call does not go through because that number simply does not exist inside the simulation. He ends up back in the pod, having found nothing new. This time, when he wakes up in the pod, he gets into a much longer and more serious conversation with Rutledge. He demands to know the full truth about what this program is doing to him, where his real body is, and what his actual physical condition is. Rutledge admits that the source code program is entirely his own creation. Goodwin then tells him something that nobody had actually stated clearly until now. The people he keeps interacting with on that train are not real in any current sense. They are essentially the stored memory of people who are already dead. Rutledge then explains how the program actually works. It does not send anyone back through time. What it does is create a parallel version of events, a separate branch of reality. And in every single one of those branches, Christina and all the other passengers still die on that train. He is sent back before he can say anything more. He goes straight to the bomb, and this time he removes the phone that is wired to it as the trigger. He dials the last number, and someone picks up. He starts walking outside the train and tells the person on the other end to turn around. In the next car, a man turns around without thinking, and Coulter has found him. He sits down next to him, and the man claims he was just calling his wife. Coulter redials the number right in front of him, and a different phone in the same area starts ringing. The man immediately gets up and runs for the door. Coulter jumps off the moving train after him. The man gets to a white van nearby, and Coulter confronts him, but the man pretends he has no idea what is going on. Coulter looks inside the back of the van and finds a second bomb that is far bigger and far more destructive than the one on the train. Someone else walks into the scene, and the bomber, whose name is Derek, shoots both of them without hesitation. As Coulter is going down, he hears Derek explain his reasons, which is that he believes destroying everything is the only way to build something better. Derek genuinely believes in what he is doing. The train explodes in the distance, the loop ends, and Coulter is back in the pod. The team now has a name and a description, but the protocol requires more before they can act on it. Coulter tells them he is done. He says he will go back one more time and do whatever they need, but when the 8 minutes are up, he wants them to turn off his life support and let him go. Goodwin knows that Rutledge would never approve this, but she tells Coulter that she will do it. This time Coulter is completely focused, identifies Derek, and sits down next to him. He manages to get Derek to confirm enough of the truth. Then he sits down and makes one more call. He does not tell his father who he is. He just says he is a friend of his son, and that his son wanted him to know he was sorry. His father tells him that he loved his son very much. Back at the facility, Goodwin goes into the room where Coulter's body is being kept alive by machines. She stands there and waits. On the train, Coulter goes back to sit with Christina. Rutledge figures out what Goodwin is planning and sends security to stop her, but she does not move. She waits until the last possible second of the 8 minutes. Goodwin shuts off the life support. The security team bursts in, but it is already too late. The machines go silent. But in that separate branch of reality that the source code created, the bomb never goes off. All the passengers on the train are alive. The police catch Derek Frost before he can arm the second device, and Chicago is safe. Coulter looks at Christina and tells her that everything is going to be fine. Source code is about a man who is given 8 minutes inside someone else's final memory and what he chooses to do with that time. He did not just stop a bombing. He called his father, he saved a train full of people, and he made sure that in at least one version of reality, things ended differently. So the question the film leaves you with is this: if you had 8 minutes to go back and change one moment, what would that moment be? Tell us in the comments below, subscribe and turn on notifications, because more film breakdowns are coming.